Hello and welcome to the inside of the brand new Range Rover Sport. It costs 2.4 million rands and it is a very nice place to sit. If 2.4 million rand is a bit much for you, we do have a whole load of ones available on the second-hand market. So have a look on our site. You can drill down on an app to like Range Rover Sport and then see all the ones we have listed. It is raining a lot outside, so bear with me as you hear the windscreen wipers bumping up and down. Like that. Anyway, let's get on with it. Is this worth 2.4 million rands? Is it very nice? Should you buy it? How practical is it? What are the nice things about it? We're going to cover all of those things whilst trying to stay dry.
Dream, search, drive. Cars.co.za.
Who am I?
Whoever you are, with budget you could save $420 per month.
What do you need to know about the Range Rover Sport? Well, those of you that will remember back in like the 2000s, this was the car that kind of introduced this bad looking SUV, this kind of almost gangsterish look to it, British Gangster SUV. And it appeals to a lot of people, I gotta say. It's a very appealing design. It's not angular or like full of creases like a German SUV. It is very much a British gangsterish kind of SUV. This would be in a Guy Ritchie gangster film. Like it would fit in that kind of film immediately. And I kind of like it, but there's a bit of me that also doesn't want to like it. Should I like something that's this kind of mean and bad looking? It looks like it comes from the underworld, right? It would be involved in some sort of underhanded job if it had a job. What makes something like the Range Rover a little bit different from your average sort of premium SUV is that it's built to go off-road. It does have a ton of off-road systems in here. You can lock diffs, you can lock center diffs, you can lock rear diffs. You've got a low-range gearbox here. You've got multiple off-road modes or an auto mode to kind of adjust to whatever you need to do. So there is that inherent off-roading DNA in it that you get from the Land Rover side of the Range Rover. And whether someone is really going to use something like that, I doubt they'll ever take it that far off-road that they'll need to use low range, but it is always nice to know that you're covering that base should you ever need it. And we've had like 2 weeks of rain here where it's been flooding, and I feel pretty competent in my Range Rover that all the fallen down trees and mud and closed bridges that I'm going to survive, you know? This car is spec'd in like this plum or maroon. I don't know what color you're gonna. You pick a color. Tell me in the comments what color this sort of like maroon, purpley plum is to you. But it's just full leather the whole way across the dash, on the top, the bottom, and then you've got this like this material here, which is like a fabric-y cloth. It's really nice. It's really nice. What you would normally get here is like a piano black plastic, and over there it would be piano black plastic. And there's just too much piano black in cars, and it's just nice not to have it here. So you do have it here in the center where you've got your adjustments for your climate control, heated seats, and your gear shifter. That surround is piano black. But besides that, the rest of the surfaces are leather or clean and nice to touch. It's a nice change from like what we've come to know in this segment as they've tried to cut costs. So under the bonnet, 6-cylinder turbo diesel, plenty of power, 250 odd kilowatts and 700 Newton meters. And the way it delivers that power is it's like a continuous surge, but it actually deals with its weight quite well. The updated Range Rover chassis that you get on here, so underneath it's still a Range Rover, 3-meter wheelbase. It doesn't loft into the air like old Range Rover Sports used to. There's like those great shots of every time you accelerate in a Range Rover Sport, like the suspension travel just keeps increasing. One of my favorite features is that you get air suspension across the range. And whilst manufacturers seem to do everything to decrease ride quality by putting massive wheels in it, like 22s, 23s, etc. It's about looks in this kind of car. It's not necessarily about the performance, the sportiness, the handling. Although it says sport on the back, I think that's more about like the design. It's a sportier design. I don't think that's so much about straight line performance or handling. And that's maybe why Land Rover or Range Rover has only really brought one petrol engine to the range. And that's a 6-cylinder as well. Maybe down the line they'll bring an SVR and that kind of thing, and that'll be more about dynamics. But right now, I think the sporty nature of it isn't quite up there with, say, a Cayenne or an X5, but it's good enough. I'm not a particularly big fan of making my SUVs sporty. I prefer my SUVs comfortable. Welcome to the front seat of the Range Rover Sport. This is where the magic happens. Oh, when you get into a Range Rover, it's great. There's like this feeling of opulence, and if you get in with like big jackets and full of wet, damp water, there's like this feeling of space. There's nothing worse than being constricted in jackets that you can't move around in a car. But this, really, really nice. Here's more of this kind of like deep purple or maroon 5 color. I'm not really sure what it is. But let me take you through some of the storage facilities provided by the Range Rover Sport. In here, you've got a fridge with 2 cold settings, cold and extra cold, which I'm not using because it's a cold day. Here you've got some sort of like small phone holder. I'll give you an example. Mine is a modern phone. It doesn't quite fit in here, so it's a bit useless. But I do like the rubberized trackpad here, which they should have used in the actual wireless holder, because now that kind of slides around in there and it doesn't actually ever charge because it's sliding. Here you've got 2 cup holders, and then if you slide that back, you've got quite a nice storage bin there, which houses the USB-A and USB-C ports as well if you want to use Android Auto, but it is also wireless Android Auto. So if I close that, then you'll see down here you've got another kind of just space to throw stuff like keys, and then your door pockets in here are huge. You can get, I'm sure, 2-liter bottles in there. They're massive. One of the nice things I like about a Range Rover or a Land Rover is that you get 2 sun visors that fold down and give you 270 or 275 degree. I don't know what it is. Anyone with a protractor, just leave it down in the comments there below. But you've got this full protection from the sun, which is really nice on a rainy day like today. Then the rear view mirror on here is a camera. So the camera is on the shark fin at the back, and it projects through to the mirror here. Now you have the option of going back to a normal mirror, but I've actually found this camera really good. The clarity during like the fog that we've had today or at night, it's actually easier to use that once you get used to the perspective. Then obviously the glove box, being a Range Rover, you get 2 glove boxes. So the top one comes out like that, and you've got a bottom one that drops down there as well. So plenty of storage solutions in your Range Rover. Now, let's go into the screen and what sort of systems we get. You come to your 2 main functional items in the Range Rover Sport. You've got your big Pivi Pro system here, it's called, which deals with all your infotainment, tons of the car's details and stuff like that, but we'll come to that in a second. What you've got down here are your dual zone climate control buttons, and these are actually quite nice. They rotate really nicely. I feel like I'm Martin Garrix on the decks here. I don't know a DJ. If anyone knows a DJ, let me know. But anyway, you tap these to get your seat heaters, but this has hot and cold, so you can heat or cool your seats, which is quite nice. And then if you tap this button, it brings up your seat functionality. So you can move your seats from here, but you can also activate the massage functionality, which is nice. So we can go for pulse massage in the upper back location at an intensity of 5. That sounds great. Most massage functionalities are really just gimmicks, but this one, it's reasonable. On a long journey, it might be quite nice to kind of have someone just kind of cat paw you along your journey. But anyway, then tons of features here. If we go through them, the one that's quite interesting is the air quality control. So what it does is it has ionizers and CO2 filters in the air ducts that kind of minimize the infected air that gets through to you. So it actually tells you here at the moment, because we're in the winelands and Stellenbosch pays for really clean air, the air is as clean outside as it is inside. But I was behind a truck earlier, and that was at about 250, and this moves into the purple zone, telling me that the air outside is dirty, but inside it was 5, which it cleaned the air from 250 to 5. I'm not sure what those numbers mean, but it sounds like I'm getting healthier by the minute. Then you've got your off-road modes, which you activate via this button here, and you can go through from sand and grass to gravel, snow, wading through water, rocks, all of these kind of cool details. And then if you go into the 4x4 info, you can do things like separately lock your rear diff and center differential. You can also go further into how far the water is climbing up your car, which it was climbing up quite a lot earlier. One of my absolute favorite features on here though is if we go into the camera. So you've got this sort of 3D perspective of your car where you can zoom in on specific cameras. So I can look out the back or I can look out the side, and you can get very specific with where you want the camera to be. You can also kind of slide around the view of your car. At the moment some of the doors are open, so it's not perfect. There is also an off-road mode where you can kind of see what's directly in front of you, but then it also projects what is directly underneath the bonnet as well via what it's seen ahead. So you can kind of, like, if there's rocks underneath, you can navigate your way over those rocks. There's also a specific towing camera which will line you up and give you perfect towing capabilities and deploy your tow bar if you spec a deployable tow bar. As for the Pivi Pro system, it lags a little occasionally, but for the most part it's a really fast system, quite easy to touch, quite easy to move through. There's not much glare off the screen when the sun is directly above you. Even with this sunroof open, there's not much glare. Overall, really happy with this system. Lots of features that you can play with and set up and tailor make it to your needs. Here's a quick tour of the rear passenger area. Firstly, this seat is in my driving position. I'm about 6 foot tall, so plenty leg room, easy to lounge out. I can even recline and not recline electrically my seats. You get this really nice rear pocket here, which is elasticated with like a really nice carpeting feel in there. Then over here you've got dual zone climate control for the back as well, which also has heated and cooled seats for both sides. Very luxurious. Then if I turn to the center here, this armrest folds down. Sometimes it clicks into place. And then under here you've got 2 USB-C ports and 2 HDMI ports, which I will explain later. But then possibly the cheapest part of the whole Range Rover is here when you open these cup holders. Just listen to that plasticky sound there. Oh, like, it's such a great and luxurious and premium feel, and then they just leave this as like a really plasticky part. It's, oh, I don't want to keep doing that. I'm gonna put that away. That could be better. And then you can see this has got the optional rear entertainment system. Now, I'm not convinced by rear entertainment systems anymore. I think most people just give their kids iPads, or people bring Android equivalents, whatever they are, and they just watch tablets here. They don't really need this anymore, especially since this one requires an HDMI to USB-A phone cable, which not many people have, so you have to buy that. And then you can just watch whatever's on your phone on this screen when you would normally just watch it on your iPad or tablet. Anyway, you do get a very nice set of Land Rover bespoke Bluetooth headphones, and they're actually really nice and soft, and there's a charging cable in there as well. But like I say, surely most people just have tablets nowadays. Then the roof lining here, you can see I've got enough headroom. I can always move towards the sunroof if I need to for even more, but in a comfortable position, plenty headroom. And Land Rover has the best grab handles, man. That's a nice leathery cushioned grab handle. Strong. And then privacy blind if you need it, but this has tinted windows anyway, so not many people can really see in here. And then your headrests, they curl around your ears if you want. And also what's quite cool is there's speakers in the headrests here, which kind of give that Meridian 24 speaker surround feel. And they're also noise cancelling, which is quite cool. The car does cost 2.4 million rand, and with about 200,000 options, it's probably 2.6 million rand. But that's a lot less than a full fat Range Rover. And you're getting most of a Range Rover in here. Yes, the design is slightly deterring if you want something that's more regal and more sort of like from the crown. This is more Guy Ritchie British Gangster. But if you want the design, or you like the design, then you're getting most of a Range Rover in here. Same wheelbase, same practicality, good enough engine up front. So in terms of value, it's probably a better offering than a Range Rover. But then it is more than your competitors like say a Cayenne or a X5 or Q7, GLE, that sort of thing. But it's different. A lot of the times as South Africans, we tend to drill down into the specs, and we drill down into practicality, price, value for money, all of these like statistical ways of choosing a car, and we don't necessarily connect with the emotional perspective of a car. And something like a Range Rover, when you get in it, it has that kind of, whoa, this is nice kind of feel, where maybe you don't get from the Germans. And I think that's the thing. If you're spending 2 or 3 million rand on a car, you have to emotionally connect with it. Like, I get in here and I just like the fact that it's a Range Rover, man. That's a cool brand. There's something emotionally connecting me to Range Rover. It's a British brand. I have a little bit of British heritage in me. I connect with that. And while these cars are all so very good, choose the one that you emotionally connect with the most. Yeah, there you have it. That's my opinion on why you should or shouldn't buy a Range Rover.
Cars.co.za.
Are you busy trying to decide between 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, 5 cars, 6 cars? We have an excellent compare tool on our site which will help you make sense of all the different pricing and all the different specs. You'll find it on our main site as well as in our app. It's super slick, it's easy to use, it's highly detailed, it's constantly updated with the latest information and pricing, and I can guarantee you it'll make your life a ton easier. Check it out on our website, link in the description below.
All our Silos and Archies deserve insurance that pays out.